come away with the victory, but you never know. If he doesn't make those first few saves, obviously it affects the scoreboard, but also just the overall mentality of the team. So a huge beginning of the game last year for Peters. He'll look to mirror that today.
Couple of juniors facing off. Jack Henry Vara for Princeton. Kyle Prouty, who comes in at 60% for the Blue Jays. And it's Prouty, the local product out of New Egypt High School here in New Jersey, cleanly winning the game's opening draw.
And you do see Joey Epstein 32 as he gives it up, but that's a great sign for the Hopkins Blue Jays to have number 32, one of the toughest matchups in the nation. And, of course, you got Michael Sowers on the other side. So we've got two terrific attackmen on the field here today. And, folks, it is sunny out there. It looks beautiful, but it is cold. Make no mistake about it.
It's in the 30s with the wind chill. It feels like it's in the 20s. Joey Epstein last year, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, 73 points out there wearing number 32. Started against Loyola, maybe brought him back a little bit before he was ready as this one whistles wide by Cole Williams, and then they sat him out the opener against Towson last week. Didn't start against UNC, but they said he looked a little bit more comfortable, and now he's back out there on the attack alongside Cole Williams and freshman Owen Murphy making his first career start. There's a shot and a goal. Evan Zinn, the speedster in the midfield. Fifth goal of the season for the Westport, Connecticut native, and Hopkins strikes first.
Great dodge here, leans into the defender and then kind of fades away to create the separation necessary to get his hands free. A beautiful bounce shot beats Peters, and what a start for Hopkins away from home. You heard that celebration on the sideline. It sounded like that was the overtime winner. They are psyched to get on the board. They know what that means, getting on the board early away from home, taking a lead, and getting the first shot on goal past the goaltender. That's a big, big play for the Blue Jays.
Great crowd here. The grandstand on the near side of Sherrod Field just about filled in, and some fans standing around past the stands as well. Evan Zinn, that goal was his 5th of the season, his 8th point last year as a freshman, 9 points in 16 games, and someone who's been a nice surprise in the early going, a top 10 recruit last year for the Blue Jays out of Staples High School. 1-0 Hopkins just over a minute into this one. Prouty against Vara, and they're locked up. Clamping down, and possession awarded to the Tigers. So Jake Stevens will start it back up, and really the key if you're playing against the Tigers, you can't really stop Michael Sowers. The best way to limit him is to win faceoffs and keep the ball away from the offense.
Yeah, it's pick your poison with Michael Sowers. You're going to take away the passing lanes and dare him to dodge, or are you going to slide early and force him to find that open passing lane? The thing is, his lacrosse IQ, when you combine it with the speed, what a combination it is as he gets going here.
288 career points for Sowers. That's 41 more than anyone else in Princeton history, and the Tigers get the equalizer. Connor McCarthy with a downhill dodge to tie us at 1. Speaking of surprises in the midfield, nice to have Connor McCarthy healthy for the Tigers.
Yeah, the Massachusetts native gets all of it. Gets his whole body behind that one and evens it up at 1. And you talk about the roster top to bottom for Princeton on the offensive side. You've got Brown, you've got Robertson, you've of course got Sowers, and sometimes lost in the mix is Connor McCarthy. But after that play, I don't think Hopkins is going to keep their eyes off number 8. What a shot, what a goal to tie things up.
Connor McCarthy, the big body in the midfield. That first midfield line for the Tigers, you have Alex Slusher and Alexander Verdaro, both 5'9", both underclassmen. McCarthy, the big 6'4", 200-pound senior, limited to 9 games last year, 4 goals a year ago. That was his 6th already here in 2020. Tigers kicking it back up the other way. Number 10, Ben Finley, the freshman, who's been a starter all 4 games on defense.
Andrew Song with a beautiful trail check there to prevent perhaps a transition goal. Princeton comes up with it, and Stevens will look to scoop this up, but can't. But he may have gotten pushed there.
A little bit of contact, and a late whistle comes in.
He got pushed. He didn't pass the ball. He didn't really have a chance at it, but it was a loose ball push.
I think if you're kind of trying to pinpoint, okay, why was Princeton last year a 500 team, and how have they upset the defending national champions, and why are they 3-0? The defense is basically the same. It's the same goalie. You have the same starters on attack. So much more athletic in the midfield. Shot wide by Vardaro.
Yeah, that's certainly the difference, Cody. But then you talk about the cohesiveness, right? Everyone back together again on that defensive core and the offensive core. And one thing to point out, so far, George Bond matched up with Cole Williams, not Joey Epstein. We'll keep an eye on that and see if they switch things up.
Bond's got that big athletic frame. The sophomore Owen McManus draws Sowers first. Shot by Brown, whistles wide. Haven't mentioned Chris Brown, but he had 4 goals and an assist last week to go along with 7 ground balls. 6 of those 7 ground balls on the offensive end. He notched his 100th career point, and he's still early in his junior season.
Yep, scored a goal in every game he's played in his career, every single one. That's just a tremendous statistic, and again, sometimes goes unnoticed or unheralded because 22 is his teammate.
Sowers, 5'9", the senior, the ex-attackman. Chris Brown, the big 6'2" junior, sort of the left-handed complement. Chris Brown on pace to finish right around top 10 in Princeton all-time in scoring. Storyline's been how they've moved Sowers around. He comes up top, feeds Vardaro, and the Tigers jump on top.
You don't see Michael Sowers celebrate a lot. He celebrated, and rightfully so. Breaks the ankles of the defender, finds the teammate, and then Vardaro finishes it off beautifully, going top shelf.
That's a freshman. That's a short stick defensive midfielder, Eddie Glassmeyer. That's not the spot you want to put a short stick in against Sowers.
No, that's the matchup they'll take all day. And if you're Hopkins, you got to take a risk and switch off that and get a pull on Michael Sowers. We've seen him with the ankle-breaking dodges behind the cage. Now you see one above goal line extended. It just shows you those feet travel. They go anywhere, and they are quick.
New offensive coordinator for the Tigers after 3 years under Pat March, who left for the same job at Syracuse. Jim Mitchell's. It's kind of like, you open a new toy on Christmas morning. It's Michael Sowers for him, and they've been moving him around.
Yeah, when your first car is a Lamborghini, it's pretty nice. I mean, what a luxury on the offensive end. But to the coach's credit, what they have done is just kind of kept the train rolling in the same direction, right? Don't change too much. You've got talent. You've got players that have played together a lot, and just let them continue what they're doing. Well coached on the offensive side.
2 goals for Princeton, 2 assists already for Michael Sowers, 290 career points. Tough to body up Cole Williams. He was taking some hacks down there on the offensive end, but he's able to maintain the handle. First career start for Owen Murphy, number 42 on attack, top 50 recruit from Medfield, Massachusetts. Product of Avon Old Farms. Shot clock down under 30. They swing it back out to the midfield. It was 1-0 Hopkins, and then back-to-back goals by the Tigers. Owen Murphy against Medgalchi, fires high over the crossbar. Shot clock at 14.
And again, keep an eye on the goalies. If they don't see shots for a while, they will quite literally get cold out there. And Peters hasn't seen one on cage in a little bit now.
Shot clock down the 10. Epstein initiating from X. Tigers slide on Brett Baskin. Bodied up by the freshman. Shot is wide. Shot clock will expire as that one goes out of bounds, and the Tigers stand strong defensively.
Very well done.
Big storyline coming into today. You look at last week, so you have a 3-0 start, chance to go 4-0 for the first time in a decade. It's great that you beat the defending national champions. If you can't back it up today, that win doesn't mean a lot.
Right. I mean, they talk about, it's hard to win the game after the game, right? So coming out, beating Virginia at Virginia, and then a big one at home, high expectations. We talked about it in the open, going from unranked to top 10. You have to switch that mentality, and that's not only on the players, it's on the coaches. How do the players handle it? Michael Sowers well into the national spotlight, perhaps went a little unrecognized in his first 3 years, if possible, mostly because he hasn't played a tournament game.
Sowers waiting on the outskirts. Top of the formation, Vardaro draws the slide, swings it through Slusher, the freshman, down on the doorstep. Brown bodied up, and a flag comes in. So the Tigers will go man up here with a 2-1 lead early on.
And you see what happens when an attackman gets inside on a defense. It really leaves them in a bad predicament where they've got to push, essentially, or risk. But, wow, it comes in from the front. I didn't see that live. Wow, he got hit hard.
Jake Lilly, defensive midfielder.
When you look at that, it quite literally a bang-bang play. No malintent there, but just with Brown falling, it was just the angle and got him up high.
Jake Lilly, 1 minute, and I believe they said that's non-releasable. Shot up high. Dave Petramala not thrilled with the call, but the Tigers go man up. Princeton 33% over the first 2 weeks of the season, 1 for 4 with the extra man last week in Charlottesville.
They start their motion. Slusher was in the crease, and now it's Stevens.
Tic-tac-toe, Sowers feeding the sophomore out of Culver. Jake Stevens, 3 straight goals for the Princeton Tigers. Talk about how the Tigers have moved Sowers around this season.
Yeah, now he's up top in the man-up formation, and Slusher started in the crease, then he moved back. Stevens replaces and just had way too much room. Sowers, of course, is going to find that. And Stevens does a nice job of finishing up high. Stevens coming from a long line of Culver products, making a huge impact here for the Princeton Tigers. Of course, the other one that comes to mind, number 25, Zach Currier, who's had a tremendous professional career both outdoor and indoor.
Zach Currier, Riley Thompson, Dawson McKenzie, and then out there in the midfield, 3 underclassmen, all teammates at Culver, won a couple of national titles. Jake Stevens, Luke Anderson, 2 sophomores, and then Sam English, a freshman, joining them this year here in New Jersey.
Not a bad funnel to have, the Culver Academy funnel.
Possession awarded on the violation against Jack Henry Vara. So 3 straight goals for the Tigers, and now Hopkins trying to make it a 1-goal game again. Dodging in the face-off man, Prouty. Flag comes in as he may have gotten pushed. He did end up in the crease.
See if they may call a hold as he was running.
Still 33 seconds left on the Tiger man up because that penalty was non-releasable.
Looks like they were running side by side. I didn't necessarily see a push in the back there, but I could buy a hold as he was running.
Officials confer with a 3-1 Tigers lead.
Let's take a look. It was a little bit on his back. I thought it was from the side, but whether you're going to call a hold or a push, it's 30 seconds either way. See, there I would have called the hold, but maybe a push at the end. But again, 30 seconds.
32nd second for a push at 8:58.
It's Princeton, Hopkins, and lacrosse.
It's a tremendous rivalry. I remember coming to this game growing up. Stands were full then. They're still full now.
Certain programs where even if they're down, and Hopkins, yes, they're 1-2, but they started 1-2 last year, and they still went to the NCAA tournament. No matter what kind of record Hopkins has, they still have an aura when they walk in.
Yeah, there are certain teams that are going to turn it up when it counts. Duke comes to mind. They can lose a couple early in the season, and then you might find them in the Final Four. There's just a couple of those teams are going to be in it.
I think that's been their strategy the past couple years. Penalty expires on Lilly. Penalty expires on the Tigers, so we are back at 6-on-6, creeping up on the midway point of the first quarter with the sun breaking through. Hopkins got out to an early 1-0 lead, and then 3 straight for the Tigers. Connor DeSimone working into the top of the box. Evan Zinn, the lone goal scorer. Got Hopkins on the board just over a minute into this first quarter. Blue Jays methodical offensively. 15 on the shot clock. Turnaround shot kicked aside by Peters, rolling towards the near side. Tigers diving for it. Princeton possession. Great hustle in the corner by the freshman Finley.
Tremendous race to the sideline, and Finley wins it by what might have been an inch, but the Tigers will take it. Good ball movement by the Hopkins Blue Jays. Good defensive communication by the Tigers, and a good save by Peters there as Princeton clears it safely, and Chris Brown gets going with that tremendous left hand, but he crosses him up.
Brown top shelf on the downhill dodge. 4 straight for the Tigers. 4 goals by 4 different players here in the early going in Princeton.
Chris Brown, we talked about it. You have to focus so much on Michael Sowers that you forget about number 6 sometimes, but take a look. You think he's going left because that's his natural hand, but he goes with the right and notches it up top. 4-1 Princeton. We'll be back.
This experience
where they play 4 of their first 5 at home and then 4 of their first 5 on the road the next season, so sort of swapped it up, and they're here at 52 Stadium for the 2nd straight season. Last year a 14-2 Blue Jays victory. 5-0 run late in the contest for Dave Petramala's squad, but this is one of those all-time great lacrosse rivalries.
Yeah, it's one you remember watching year in and year out. Both teams with those national championship banners at their respective home fields. Homewood Field, one of the great venues in lacrosse, class of 52, a great one as well. Just 2 fantastic programs in a huge game here today.
It was 1-0 Hopkins early on the first goal of the day by Evan Zinn, his 5th of the season, but since then 4 straight tallies for the Tigers, 1 with an extra man. 4 goals by 4 different players, 3 of those goals assisted by Michael Sowers to give him 291 career points. Off the face-off win, top shelf, and they get one back. Garrett Degnan, the sophomore from Harwood, Maryland, with his team leading 8th of the season. Great individual effort that time.
Yeah, take what the defense gives you. No one steps up. Bond thought he might go. He didn't. No one got their stick on the hands of Degnan, so he finishes up high against Peters, sneaks it in over the shoulder, and that's a big one for Hopkins. Haven't scored in a while. Now 4-2, win a couple face-offs. Anybody's game. That's what you love about lacrosse. You can score 3 very, very quickly, get right back in it.
One of the storylines for Princeton coming into this season, can they keep face-offs close enough to 50% to have enough possessions? Not off to a great start. Hopkins has won 5 out of 6. They rotate their face-off guys, but it's been Kyle Prouty out there and now make it 6 out of 7, although they put it back on the turf. Scooped up by Luca Lazaretto to Jake Stevens, who gets bodied up. Rolling towards the sideline, and another ground ball by Chris Brown, who had 7 last week at Virginia.
Yeah, see if they slow it down. Brown looks like he wants to dodge right away.
Brown went over 100 career points last week against Virginia. Just a junior, he's scored in 31 consecutive games. That's every game he's ever played in for Princeton.
You see Owen McManus keeping up with Sowers, but a quick little jab step gets him open, and here he goes.
Sowers from the top. They slide on him, and he'll carry to X. It was McManus, and then he had a couple of matchups against short sticks. Vardaro, top of the box, goes high, and Ryan Darby meets him there.
Great save by Darby.
First save of the day for the junior from Plano, Texas.
Good ride here from Princeton. Again, got 20 seconds to get it past midfield of that 80-second shot clock down to 5.
It's an underrated part of Michael Sowers' game.
He has relentless hustle. Whether it's with the ball or on the ride, he's going to be sprinting towards the ball one way or the other as we get a stoppage here and a timeout by the Blue Jays.
A little bit of an unsettled situation with Andrew Song on a pole in transition, and Dave Petramala takes Johns Hopkins' first time out here in the first half.
Good timeout there by the Blue Jays. An important possession here after that quick goal. Opportunity here to pull within 1. And for Princeton, equally big on the defensive end. I want to keep an eye on the defensive assignments for Princeton. Baughan and Song are 2 of the greats in the Ivy League on close defense. Song, you'll see him all over the place, forcing turnovers, getting ground balls, and Baughan, so athletic, really that kind of classic shutdown defender. We'll see if they keep him on Williams or switch him up and get him over to Epstein at some point.
You just saw the active leaders in Division I in goal scoring. This was entering the day, and then, of course, Chris Brown upping that to 31 straight. James Kitchen of Delaware, national leader, 36 in a row. But Chris Brown, the only one on that list who scored a goal in every game he's played in.
It's unbelievable because he came on and made an impact, and it's just continued, right? And he sits there sometimes, and of course he has the luxury of Michael Sowers setting him up a lot, but Chris Brown has become more of a dynamic playmaker in his years here at Princeton. He'll take it off the dodge. He's not just waiting there with a big lefty shot on the wing, catch and release. Now he's taking the dodge and not relying on that left hand as much. We've seen the split dodge, taking it to the right, taking it to low angles. That's a part of Chris Brown's game that's developed in his time here at Princeton, and it's paying dividends now.
One of his partners in crime, 3rd straight season they've had this same attack unit, Sowers, Chris Brown, and then number 11, who you just saw, Philip Robertson. Haven't talked at all about him today, but he has 12 goals over the first 3 games of the season.
Sneaky, sneaky. Mr. Robertson inside the crease. He does a great job of getting open on the crease. Michael Sowers obviously does a great job of finding him. And what's great about Robertson is he needs about 3 inches of space, and he's wide open, it seems.
2 years ago, he led the nation in shooting percentage, was banged up last year, but so far shooting 57% here in 2020 as a senior. Hopkins drew first blood, and then 4 straight for the Tigers. There's an early save by Eric Peters, who had a season-high 16 last week.
Nice save, relatively routine save, right at the body. Didn't have to do too much to make that one.
Third save of the day for the junior from Colorado, who took over right around the midway point last year. John Levine started the first 5, and then after Levine struggled against Rutgers, sustained an injury, it was Peters coming in and almost led the Tigers to a comeback win in Piscataway. And he's been the starter between the pipes ever since. 9 games last year, so far 4 games this year. Vardaro jabbed at by the pole, still plenty of time to shoot for the Tigers. And now they're finally able to get the faceoff guys off the field.
McCarthy holds. He had that great goal to get things started for the Tigers early in this one. Gives it over to the freshman Slusher, who's having a great campaign thus far.
Slusher, an attackman by trade, getting to run with the first midfield. Sowers over the top of the cage, airmails it over Robertson, and the Tigers turn it over. Just enough contact to deflect that shot.
And again, a nice job by Hopkins forcing Sowers to that low angle where he tried to pass it over the goalie, and then, as you said, airmailed his teammate. So another big opportunity for Hopkins to pull within 1 on this possession.
It's one of the other numbers that maybe flies under the radar for Michael Sowers.
And Princeton takes over at midfield on the turnover.
82 career turnovers for Sowers. This is his 46th game. Think about how much time he spends with the ball in his stick, turning it over less than 2 times a game.
Yeah, he does a great job, and it's really because of the lacrosse IQ. When you make smart plays, that's where ball control improves. You know, he's not reckless. He really evaluates what he's doing before he does it. As McCarthy handles up top, he's got a favorable matchup here against the short stick.
McCarthy has a goal already. They switch off him. Chris Brown against Jack Line, the senior. One of 2 seniors starting on defense. Hopkins gets a piece of that, trickles to Ryan Darby, who scoops it up. And now Hopkins goes against this Princeton ride. Good job defensively by the Blue Jays. The Tigers had that 4-goal run, threatening to maybe run away with it a little bit early on, but the Blue Jays have clamped down defensively.
Great check there by Chris Brown, almost a throwaway check.
Tigers have numbers out of the reach of Brown. Sowers chasing after it, but that's a Princeton turnover. I think maybe he was trying to sell that as a shot, and the officials didn't bite. Third turnover today for Matt Madelon's squad. 3 turnovers also for the Blue Jays.
Looks like they're pointing the way of Princeton. Oh no, reset behind the cage. That's why everyone was moving that way.
Creeping up on 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. It was 1-0 Blue Jays before that 4-0 run by the Tigers. And here Hopkins with a chance to make it a 1-goal game.
Connor DeSimone, number 3, gets it to Degnan, who again had that second goal of the game for Hopkins, a big one. And as you said, Cody, since then, Hopkins clamping down on defense.
Forey Smith started the first 3 games on attack, and with Epstein back healthy, he'll slide back out to the midfield. A little bit of separation, Connor DeSimone. Skip pass, tough angle, never really had an angle, and Peters is able to go up and meet it.
He ran out of space. Maybe 2 steps earlier, he has enough to get one off, but almost shot that from behind the cage. Peters met him stick for stick as Princeton looks to clear.
Tigers have struggled clearing this season, right around 82%. That puts them in the bottom third in Division I lacrosse, but they're perfect today, 4 of 4.
As Stevens takes it up top. A great dodger, up and down, downhill dodger is Jake Stevens. Princeton will slow it down, get their personnel on the field.
It's tough not to compare Jake Stevens to Zach Currier.
Yeah, very similar styles of play.
Tommy Barnes, the freshman, number 21, getting out there with the second midfield, running alongside Stevens and Jamie Atkinson, number 25.
So Sowers working, trying to set the pick now. Robertson moves inside the crease.
Atkinson has it checked away, and a push against Hopkins.
Now Hopkins is going to say he was playing without his stick before the push. They have a case, but Princeton gets the call. It's the push that gets the whistle.
And a chance to restart it with Sowers and a fresh shot clock. Dave Petromalo not thrilled with the officiating crew here in the early going. 35 seconds left in the first quarter. Sowers, quick feed. Barnes steps into it and gets that high hop off the turf. Second career goal for the second generation Princeton Tiger, and it's 5-2. 4 helpers for number 22 for Princeton.
Yeah, another assist for Sowers, and a great fundamental bounce shot by Barnes. Does a great job there. Switches level, starts the stick high, brings the ball low, and is able to beat Darby. And you think Hopkins wanted the call at the time. Now they really wish they got that call. You said it, Cody. You know, with that call, they get a restart, fresh shot clock, and it goes into number 22's hands. Not much worse outcomes for a missed whistle from Hopkins' perspective.
Hopkins has won 5 of 7 faceoffs, but the Tigers have a 5-2 lead. 31 seconds to go in the opening quarter. It's been Vara for the Tigers and Prouty for Hopkins, and this time on the push, possession awarded to the Blue Jays.
Easy call there at midfield. And again, a big opportunity for Hopkins here. 20 seconds. Can they bring it within 2 heading into the break?
It's a Hopkins team that has struggled scoring 10.5 goals a game. That's worst in the Big Ten. 47th in the nation out of 75 teams over the first 3 weeks of the season.
Good shot
7
there.
seconds to go here in the first quarter.
Good shot by Degnan. Now it's Williams. He's going to have to get to the front of the cage quickly.
How about this
Bond.
matchup? Williams against Bond, tries to wrap it around, and Peters makes the save as time expires. Great first quarter by the Tigers junior netminder. 6 saves for Eric Peters. He had 6 saves in the first quarter down in Charlottesville a week ago. 15 minutes in the books. Princeton with a 5-2 lead here at home. The 8th-ranked Tigers trying to get off to taking Harvard out to his alma mater in Amherst and picking up a 1-goal victory against 19th-ranked UMass a week ago. Big weekend for the Ivy League. You just saw the great crowd here on a chilly Saturday at 1952 Stadium. A lot of Hopkins fans here, but the Princeton faithful have had a lot to cheer about. A 5-2 Tigers lead as we get set to start the second quarter.
Yeah, great crowd. You've got some local prospects that made their way down to Baltimore to play their college ball, so a lot of families happy to not have to make the trip all the way to Baltimore. A little bit of a home game for a lot of the Hopkins Blue Jays.
Possession awarded to the Blue Jays, trying to chip away at this 3-goal deficit. This is a Hopkins team that doesn't score a ton, under 11 goals a year, and the Princeton Tigers, 3rd in the nation in scoring offense. Dropped 20 on Monmouth. They dropped 20 3 days later on Colgate, and then a 16-12 win last Saturday at Virginia. Only Hobart and Cornell putting up more goals per game over the first few weeks of the college lacrosse season.
Here's Williams working with it. Haven't heard from Joey Epstein too much today. 32 as he moves behind the cage.
No points, no shots. Connor DeSimone turning the corner, defended by Luke Anderson. Actually, that's Bo Pedersen, the sophomore defensive midfielder. It's really been a recruiting push for Matt Madelon to get some two-way athletic midfielders, and part of that necessitated by the rule change last year, shrinking that substitution box. Shot on the run, and Peters has his 7th save.
Hey, it's cold, but Peters not afraid to use his body to make some saves today. Seen a couple of those. And to your point, Cody, yeah, shrinking the box, the penalty box, really prevented teams from making easy transition substitutions.
You like to call it teleporting?
I like to call it teleporting. You could be behind and gain 15 yards before. It seemed like an unfair advantage. And yes, now you have the need for more two-way midfielders that stay on the field, both sides of the field.
Look at the Tigers' top midfield line. You have Slusher, the freshman, and Vardaro, the sophomore, alongside the senior McCarthy, who has it on the left side now and gives it up. Jake Stevens, Luke Anderson, Bo Pedersen, Sam English, all freshmen or sophomores in the midfield for the Tigers. Here's Sowers. Pretty healthy dose of Owen McManus defending number 22, and McManus on this possession standing his ground. Quick setup to Robertson, and he rolls it wide.
Just when you think Michael Sowers is going to reset and not make a play, a little sidewinding pass finds its target, and it's almost another helper for 22. You can never let up against Sowers.
Sowers 4 points today. He hasn't taken a shot. Shot clock down to 5. Brown loses his footing, tosses it towards the midfield. Tigers will pick it up, but the shot clock expires, and Hopkins,
Quick restart. Quick restart here.
Yeah. Tigers able to get back. Here's English trying to back check it away.
Hopkins wanted to push with possession here. If he had fallen, the flag would have fallen too.
Matt Hubler, number 9, their top short stick defensive midfielder. One of those Garden State products for the Blue Jays from Rumson, New Jersey. Prepped right down the road at the Lawrenceville School. Hubler wearing number 9. He's a senior.
Epstein being a little more active in off ball, meaning setting picks for his teammates, and he does get the ball here. We'll see how he does here, if he's full speed off the dodge, but he gives it up.
Epstein last year, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, 48 goals, 73 points. Degnan had an opportunity. Lazaretto, one of the Tigers' sophomore polls, closed it on him. Shot clock creeping down to 20. Looking for Epstein. This ball goes down on the carpet. Williams, with that 6'5 frame, is able to scoop it. Dodging in, bounce pass with 15 to go, and a flag comes in. Turning the corner. Shot is blocked, but the Blue Jays will go man up for the second time today.
Looks like it's going to be a high hit. See who it's on, but it was Cole Williams who was the ball carrier who got hit up high.
Tough to knock the ball away from him. 6'5", 215.
Looks like it's Bo Pedersen. He's going to get an illegal body check. The short stick. We'll take a look. It was before that. It was while Cole Williams had the ball coming from the far side.
One of the other things about Joey Epstein being banged up and starting for just the second time this season, Williams had to tangle with everyone they've played. Their best defender, opening game of the season against Towson, against All-American Kobe Smith. 3 goals, 4 assists for Cole Williams.
He's had a great year, and again, that's kind of without the help of Joey Epstein. And just to polish off the conversation on Epstein, if what we've said isn't enough, he's voted as a senior captain.
Hopkins gets one back. Up top, the freshman Owen Murphy. Second goal of the season in his first career start, and we're back to a 2-goal contest.
Great shot by Murphy from up top. And again, the defense is going to give you that much space. You've got to take the shot and test Peters. A beautiful shot that's off stick. So one of the toughest saves to make from up top. And Peters can't move the windshield wipers that fast. And Hopkins gets on the board. As I was saying about Epstein, voted a sophomore captain for the Blue Jays. That does not happen very often. It's been since 1975 since the Blue Jays have had a sophomore captain. So that speaks volumes to Joey Epstein and what he's notorious for, his work ethic. He is always working on his game, staying late, getting there early, shooting alone there at Homewood Field. We've heard some great stories about that. A tremendous worker.
The last 3-year captain, 3-time captain for Johns Hopkins, Greg Raymond.
Familiar name. Head coach at Hobart.
His final season as the Blue Jays captain, he was a 5th-year senior after missing some time with an injury. But Epstein, first sophomore captain at Homewood Field since the mid-70s. 5-3 the score, and still 10 seconds left on the Blue Jays man up. There's a skip pass. And they'll swing it back down behind the cage. Penalty about to expire on Pedersen. Epstein goes low. He had the assist, and now he has the goal, and the Blue Jays are back within 1.
As we take another look at it, Epstein doesn't have to move too much here. His stick does all the work. Low to low, precision. And you get a little celebration after. He deserves it. Trying to grind through this injury. Sorry, Cody. Grind through this. You know, seeing him get on the board here today, maybe that momentum gets going. But you see, you know, hobbled a little bit. He's not moving tremendously well, but on that shot, again, didn't need to.
They held him out due to the injury in the opener against Towson. That's the Blue Jays' lone win this season. And then they started him against Loyola, but took him out after the first quarter. Just wasn't quite ready. Back in the lineup last week, didn't start but did play. 1 goal on 6 shots down against the Tar Heels, and he's back in the starting lineup today, and he assisted and then has the goal to pull the Blue Jays within 1 with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Flag flies, Tigers take a shot, and that one is gobbled up by Ryan Darby. The Tigers will go man up. Tyler Sandoval, the freshman from Long Island, trying to take it in himself off the face-off win.
Tremendous effort. He was going to pass it and then realized how open he was to the goal, but huge payoff there with the flag. So 32nd man up for a very talented man up unit of the Princeton Tigers. It'll be Sowers, Robertson, McCarthy's out there. A lot of firepower along with Chris Brown, Alex Slusher, and Will Kusnarek.
Jack Henry Vara took the first 9 face-offs for Princeton, won just 2 of them, so they turned to Sandoval. It's flurrying. Is that what that hand gesture means? Flurrying here, and Princeton shot wide out of the stick of McCarthy, who never really got the hands free.
I mean, it feels like it should be snowing, so finally.
It was 5-2, Princeton on the doorstep. They set up Robertson, and that one stick saved by Ryan Darby. Ball is loose. Tigers keep it with Sowers.
Good ground ball by Sowers.
Penalty expires.
If you're watching this game, a young lacrosse player, notice that Sowers picks up that ground ball and his head gets up immediately, right? Where do I go next?
Sowers with the senior Owen Caldwell, the Westfield, New Jersey product on him. Curling in, top shelf, lands in the crease, flags fly, the goal is good. Princeton's lead is back up to 2 at 6-4.
Just rope work with the feet here by Sowers. Caldwell doesn't give him much room for the inside roll. He has a couple of inches, but he dances in front of the goalie Darby. Kind of lobs one in there, a little bit of a changeup with the left hand.
Hopkins did everything by the book defensively.
Textbook defense. You roll him to the inside, the help's there, the goalie's in good position. But Sowers, the eyes are always up. He sees things that no one else sees.
First goal, but 5th point for Michael Sowers, who came into the day 2nd all-time in Division I history in career points per game. Had 11 in the opener against Monmouth, an Ivy League record 14 3 days later last Tuesday against Colgate at home. You can say, okay, that's Monmouth and Colgate, not 2 of the top teams in college lacrosse. He goes down to Charlottesville against the defending national champions and puts up 4 and 4. Tyler Sandoval, 2 face-offs, 2 wins for the big freshman from Long Island.
Can't look past this game, but that face-off for Princeton, who's going to be the guy that can win face-offs in big Ivy League games? Is it going to be Sandoval? That makes a huge difference in a very talented Ivy League. Sandoval,
the freshman inside lacrosse, ranked him as the number 11 face-off recruit for whatever that's worth out of Chaminade. Princeton led by as many as 3. It was a 5-2 Tigers lead, now a 6-4 Princeton advantage with possession for the orange and black. Vardaro a step on his defender. Passes it up top, here's McCarthy. Draws the slide, gets it to Chris Brown playing at X. Brown dodging in, his shot deflected over the crossbar, and he stepped into the crease.
It'll go the other way. And again, Hopkins just down by 2. Huge possession here. Can they bring it within 1?
Ryan Darby, 20th consecutive start. Started at all 16 games last year, but actually was pulled pretty early in their NCAA tournament loss against Notre Dame. Won the starting job back this spring. Guy that they are looking for some more consistency, and talking to Dave Petramala, pretty happy with his junior from Texas over the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, and Hopkins' schedule is just so tough. You've
go from Towson to Loyola, and then you get Chris Gray and now Michael Sowers.
100%. It's no days off for the Hopkins Blue Jays.
Top of the box, here's DeSimone, slimmed down a little bit over the offseason. Had a hat trick in that season-opening victory against Towson. The junior dancing around under the watchful eye of Bo Pedersen, the defensive midfielder. Shot sticked aside by Peters. It'll stay with Hopkins, and the restart by Epstein. Connor DeSimone, the junior, 2 years ago as a freshman, 16 goals. Last year as a sophomore, just 4 goals. Put on about 15 pounds of muscle over the offseason and just wasn't as quick. Lost that quick first step, so dropped some of that weight over the offseason. Evans in, got the scoring started, feeds in time. Turnaround shot by Forey Smith, who's been quiet today. Tigers win the foot race. That's the freshman on defense, Ben Finley.
Great awareness by Finley to quickly head for the sideline after that shot. And a nice quick clear by the Tigers.
Finley, a freshman out of Gonzaga College Prep. His older brother Ryan, a senior on the lacrosse team at Brown.
And Cody, you saw Epstein on the restart there after he chased the shot. That's a position where Epstein would normally love to dodge, but he gives it right up. So he's out there, but the best part about him being out there is you must cover Joey Epstein, regardless of what percentage he's coming in at.
Sauer's a short stick matchup against the best Hopkins has, Matt Hubler. Connor McCarthy shakes his man, draws the slide, pushed below goal line extended. In and out of the stick of Robertson, back to Sauers on the short stick. Michael Sauers against Hubler. Can't connect with Slusher, his intended target. We have a push. And that'll keep it with the Tigers and a fresh shot clock.
Yep, a fresh 80 for Princeton as Brown brings it in on the near side. Sauers sneaks back up into the crease as Robertson moves to X.
Sauers draws the slide, finds the open man in Vardaro, and he goes top shelf. Princeton's lead is back up to 3 at 7-4.
What a shot by Vardaro, going top shelf, and who else on the helper but 22 Michael Sauers. And Cody, it almost seems like if Sauers passes it, it's bound to be a goal. That's not an easy shot. It's low percentage, little spin.
Last week, 7-4 the score. Michael Sauers, as a freshman, 82 points. That was a new Princeton record. As a sophomore, broke his own record with 83 points. And then last year as a junior, 90 points. Has 6 already today. This is the 4th game of the season. He has 39.
It's just tremendous. The pace is unbelievable. Comes into the season as Princeton's all-time leading scorer with 1 year to go. And you're talking about a program with some of the greats in the game, the greats in history.
5 assists today. That ties him with Ryan Boyle for 2nd all-time and puts him 12 shy of Kevin Lowe's program record. Couple of lacrosse Hall of Famers.
It's just unbelievable when you kind of put Jesse Hubbard and John Hess in the rearview mirror early in your career. It's tremendous.
2-car pile-up. Whistle goes in favor of the Blue Jays. Quick restart. Here's a shot by Epstein, and he gets one back.
And again, it just shows Joey Epstein doesn't necessarily need to move very much to be extremely effective. And if Princeton wasn't going to keep a stick on his hands before, they certainly need to now. 3rd goal of the year, but his 2nd today. And again, still not 100%, but making a difference is Joey Epstein, a tremendous talent, wearing the C on his chest. Again, a sophomore captain, the first sophomore captain for the Blue Jays since 1975, a generation.
Feels like 28 degrees with the wind chill, some flurries falling throughout the 2nd quarter. And the Tigers with a 7-5 lead, although Hopkins winning back-to-back face-offs, and then they have that one sticked out of.
And this is going to make Hopkins irate because they did not get that call earlier in the game.
Quick restart. Princeton is led by as many as 3. It's a 7-5 contest. Tigers get their top midfield back out on the field. Vardaro, Slusher, the talented freshman, joining the fray. You would figure next year when Sowers graduates, that ex-attackman position becomes Alex Slusher.
Great experience for him, though, to make an impact on the field as a freshman, above goal line extended, because he's going to develop that skill set. And then when he goes back to the familiarity of X, he'll have a whole nother dimension.
Sowers starting above the restraining line out in the midfield. Step on his man, a bouncer with a tough angle. Second goal, 7th point here in the first half for number 22. Tigers matching their largest lead of the day at 8-5.
Cody, I thought he was behind the goal. With the left hand, if it was in the right hand, he increases his angle. He puts it in the left, which decreases his angle, and he still sneaks it past Darby. Precision by Michael Sowers. He can do it passing, he can do it shooting, he can do it all.
Second goal of the day, 5 assists, so 7 points for Michael Sowers. Talk about him, nation's leader in assists 2 years ago now. Sole possession of second place on the Tigers assist list and creeping up there in career goals. Tied for 6th, pulls even with William Prager. Critical face-off win for the Blue Jays. Jack Hawley coming off the near side wing with the ground ball.
Smart move there not to press and force it as Epstein gets going. This is the quickest we've seen him move today. He's got tremendous feet.
Epstein cleared about 15 minutes before the season opener and they held him out, and then not quite 100% for their second game of the season. Only 1 goal on 6 shots a week ago against the Tar Heels, but certainly looks more like the Joey Epstein that was the Big Ten Rookie of the Year last year today.
Absolutely, and here he is. This is where he can be so dangerous dodging from X.
Hopkins biding their time, very methodical offensively. Brett Baskin, the junior, turning the corner, flag flies.
I think they want to discuss it. Looked
Ball
good
ended
from
up
here.
behind Peters on the back of the net, still no call.
Is it in the cage before he crossed? It was. It looked good from here, and they confirm that.
Not sure I wanted to know what Dave Petramala would have done if they waved that one off.
Yeah, and here comes Baskin. Great job here, tiptoeing the line. Yeah, that is all good. Beautiful shot there by Baskin. Crosses the plane of the goal before he lands in the crease. 3rd goal of the year for Baskin, the first today.
Baskin, the guy displaced by Joey Epstein's return to the lineup. He started the first 3 games of the season. Good day last year here at 52 Stadium. Scored on 3 of his 5 shots in that 2-goal Hopkins win. Had a couple of big tallies down the stretch.
Tell you what, Cody, 8-6 right now. This is anybody's game, especially with Epstein. It seems like he's moving better and better every possession.
Hopkins last year, it was a back-and-forth game, and then the Blue Jays went on a 5-0 run to sort of ice things down the stretch. Face-offs heavily favoring the Blue Jays here today. Stevens lowers his shoulder without possession. And a push against number 14 for the orange and black. Possession back to the Blue Jays, and again a chance to pull within 1.
Could have gone either way, Cody. From here it looked side to side, but we don't have every angle.
Reinson had it, lost it, and then got it back away from Bond, but a timeout taken. I don't know who had possession there. Timeout Hopkins. I think Matt Madelon saw the same thing I did. Didn't think Johns Hopkins had possession, but the Blue Jays will take their second time out here in the first half.
Well, the players into it. The fans are certainly into it, Cody.
This is
here.
fun.
It's a lot of fun. You had this one circled on your calendar before the season. Then you see Princeton upset Virginia last year, and it just became even bigger. And this turns into a statement game for Hopkins, and the fans showed up on both sides of the field. A good student section here from the Princeton side as they make some noise during the timeout. And it's just what Princeton Hopkins is all about.
Matt Madelon in the middle of that huddle, 30-20 in his 4.5 seasons as Princeton head coach. Took over 5 games into the 2016 campaign after a few seasons as the offensive coordinator. Two-time All-American, Division III All-American down at Roanoke.
3369.
Head coach, and he works with the goalies here at Princeton, and he's got Jeremy Hirsch back his third season as the defensive coordinator. Then we mentioned it earlier, first-year offensive coordinator, and Jim Mitchell, who last year was the head coach at Bellarmine and was a longtime assistant at Bellarmine and Rutgers, so built a pretty good staff around him, and you finally have some consistency. That defensive coordinator spot here at Princeton, for a while a revolving door. They had 6 defensive coordinators over a 6-year stretch, and it wasn't because they weren't any good, it was because they kept getting head coaching jobs.
That's exactly right.
And then you had Jesse Bernhardt, who after 1 year left for the same job as his alma mater, Maryland.
Yeah, Greg Raymond held
So
down
they were
the fort
hiring
for
the
a
right
bit.
people.
Yeah, Greg Raymond held down the fort for a bit, and then it was a little bit of a revolving door, but Jeremy Hirsch, a Princeton alum himself, comes back home to Princeton and has made a big impact, and he's had athletes to help him do it. George Bond, one of the best in the country.
Talked about consistency, and if you think consistency on a coaching staff in college lacrosse, you have to look no further than Hopkins.
Yeah, that other sidelines look the same for
Dave
a long
Petramala has
time.
had his top 2 assistants together since 2007. All 3 of them are Hopkins alums. 8-6 the score. Hopkins has taken both of their timeouts here in the first half, but a chance to pull within 1. Shot on the move. That gets pipe. Caroming towards the far sideline. Williams, the man closest.
And Williams will restart quickly with Bond marking him man for man.
Cole Williams, 2 shots today, still looking for his first point. DeSimone bodied up. Ticking down to the 2-minute mark here in the first half. Shot whistles wide, backed up. Owen Murphy, the freshman, getting his first career start on attack.
And again, Hopkins, huge possession. Can they get it to 1 goal here?
Turning the corner, that shot deflected. Bo Pedersen got the stick on it. Hopkins has had some good looks, but the Tigers not making it easy on this trip down the field. Quick restart with Owen Murphy.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of fighting back. They keep getting it to 2. To see him get it to 1. Got tremendous playmakers on this side of the field.
Evans in, fastest player on this Hopkins team, does have the ability to run past the defender. Bounce shot on the run is wide out of the stick of Forey Smith.
This is the pace, though, you like to see from Hopkins. Quick ball movement, getting shots off, high percentage shots, and they're getting the backups and quick restarts. Good pace.
Roll dodge at X from DeSimone. Gets above goal line extended, short stick matchup, curls back in, doesn't have the angle, so he'll work it back up top. Downhill dodge by Murphy and a save by Peters. And then they take it right out of his stick. Push keeps it with Johns Hopkins.
It's rare you see a goalie come out of the cage like that. He may have thought he got interfered with, but the officials made the right call. He was bobbling the ball.
I think Peters thought he did, but then looking at the Princeton sideline, really no contention from Matt Madelon and his coaching staff.
No, he bobbled the ball, and Hopkins picked it right out of the air. Great play there to retain possession.
Flurrying here in the Garden State, 8-6 Princeton leads, but Hopkins with possession here with just about a minute to go in the second quarter. Connor DeSimone draws the slide, works it back up top. Hopkins can't quite take it down to the whistle for one final shot on the move. That one off the mark from DeSimone. Foot race for it, Ryan Finley for the second time today winning it.
If you want to make an impression.
He's not going to show up in the stat sheet for what he's done today, but he's really been a key for the Tigers on defense.
If you want to make an impression to your coaches, win those battles. Win a couple of those races. You're going to see your time on the field increase game over game. That's a hustle play. That's a coach's dream.
Timeout taken by the Tigers as they clear it with 43 seconds to go. Taking a look at the defense for the Tigers, you have Metgalchi, the senior, getting the start, but then you have Finley, a freshman, and Bond, the junior, and then you look at the midfield, your Poles are Song, a junior, Lazaretto, a sophomore. Your defensive midfielders, you got mostly freshmen and sophomores, so a ton of youth on that side of the field for the Tigers.
A ton of youth. On the offensive side of the ball, we all know the percentage of plays that Michael Sowers has a hand in for these Princeton Tigers, and this is his last year in the orange and black. High hopes for the Princeton Tigers with this type of roster. As we take a look at the Division I media poll from this week, you see a lot of Ivy League. 4 in the top 10. And reminder, only 4 make the Ivy tournament. what a battle that's going to be when we get to conference play. Yale ahead of the pack, Penn State right there as well. Really just a who's who of college lacrosse. It's very impressive, but we all know kind of the volatility of the polls at this point in the season. You know, Princeton with a big victory, they go from unranked to top 10. Others drop big time, so we'll see if parity returns in Division I lacrosse and everything kind of evens out. We'll get a better idea of exactly where everybody stands.
4 Ivy League teams winning games against ranked opponents last week, and then as we look around the Ivy League, Yale trailing at UMass by 9 at the half. Penn trailing Penn State at halftime by 2 down at Franklin Field. Harvard trailing Albany. Princeton trying to tack on to a 2-goal lead. 42 seconds to go. Tigers will restart it with Connor McCarthy. Princeton is led by as many as 3. A goal here heading into the halftime would extend that lead to 3. Vardaro steps in and has the hat trick. On the feed from the near side wing, and the Tigers' lead is back up to 3.
Vardaro has found his shot in this game, and it's from up top, and it's going up top, high to high for 19. What a beautiful job there. Feed the hot hand. We all know Sowers always has the hot hand, but Alexander Vardaro's got one today. 3 goals, 3 highlight goals.
Third multi-goal outing in 4 games this season for the sophomore, and that's his first career hat trick. Still 30 seconds to go here in the first half. Big face-off here. And the Tigers have had a lot of luck with the freshman Sandoval, who wins it cleanly and then has it checked away from behind by number 32, Joey Epstein. Not sure how the Blue Jays were able to stay on sides. Tigers get it back. Chris Brown, 10 seconds to go. Unsettled situation. Here's Brown dodging right down the center. Goes low. Save made by Prouty. Ball caroms towards the Johns Hopkins line with some contact and a whistle with about a second to go.
Guess they're going to let that go to halftime. I thought there might have been a second or 2 on the clock.
Said save by Prouty. That's Ryan Darby, the netminder, and a huge save to keep it a 3-goal Princeton lead heading into the break.
What a half for both teams.
6, Princeton on top. 7 points by Michael Sowers and Alex Vardaro's first career hat trick. Dave, this has been an interesting one. It was 1-0 Blue Jays out of the gate, and then that 4-0 run by the Tigers. Hopkins pulled it within 1 at one point, but Princeton's maintained the lead ever since.
Yeah, Princeton's done a nice job kind of keeping some sort of distance, 2 or 3 goals, but Hopkins has been relentless in their pursuit. And again, you talk about 12 for 17 for Hopkins at the faceoff X. If that continues, this could flip anybody's game.
Every faceoff today for the Blue Jays taken by Kyle Prouty. He's 12 of 17, and the Tigers go back to Tyler Sandoval. 3 of 7, although he does have 3 ground balls. Clean faceoff win. A flag is down. Here's a shot. It's deflected, picked up by Peters in the net, but Hopkins will go man up.
Yeah, it looked like a slash right off the faceoff. It's going to be a 1-minute man-up opportunity for the Hopkins Blue Jays, a facet of their game where they haven't been super efficient.
Jack Hawley, 4th ground ball of the day, coming off the wing, and then he was knocked down from behind. Blue Jays 2 for 2 with the extra man. Jake Stevens, the guilty party, so he'll take a knee for the next 60 seconds.
And coming into the game, they were 2 for 7. So really upping the ante here today on the man-up opportunities, and they'll look to go 3 for 3 on this one.
Just 2 for 7. They were 1 of 2 last week against North Carolina, and last year they were 5th best in the nation. Peters just stole one right there, point-blank shot, and he was able to meet it. That was out of the stick of Connor DeSimone.
Tell you what, Cody, that was a confident save. Just stepped up, met him stick for stick, acted like it was no surprise as Vardaro gets the clear, running full steam ahead.
6 goals allowed. That's the 8th save of the day by Peters, the junior. Unsettled situation. Vardaro with a couple of Blue Jays on his heels will flip it back out into the midfield.
What a day for Vardaro. 3 goals, and that might be the best play he's had thus far. Man down, the one-man clear as they call it, gets out of traffic, Gets the ball to the open man, and they'll kill this penalty off. What a play by 19.
So Hopkins now 2 of 3 with the extra man, and the Tigers have 25 seconds left on the shot clock. Below goal line extended, that's Bo Pedersen. Up top, McCarthy with bouncer, and he scores. Connor McCarthy using all the leverage from that 6'4" frame to give the Tigers their largest lead of the afternoon.
Yeah, just like his first goal, he just gets his entire body behind his shot, and that's just a short hop. Normally you might see a bounce shot skip a little closer to the cage. That one skipped short. Darby wasn't expecting the short hop, and it goes into the top corner. Beautiful placement by Connor McCarthy. When he gets going, he can be so dangerous. You talk about it, 6'4", he's got the speed, and obviously can deliver a powerful shot.
Connor McCarthy 2 years ago as a sophomore, 14 goals and 19 points. Banged up last year. Played in just 9 games, just 4 goals, shot 17%, but pretty clearly back healthy this year. 2 goals today, 7 on the season.
Hopkins went early, so Princeton takes over. Here's Brown. He loves sweeping with that left hand, and as we talked about earlier, he's shown another dimension to his game, that right-handed dodge. And it's McCarthy again up top now.
Connor McCarthy, Alexander Vardaro, Michael Sowers, each with multiple goals for the Orange and Black. 4-goal lead for the first time, 2 minutes deep into the second half. McCarthy, Slusher, Vardaro, that top midfield line. Haven't talked a lot about Slusher. Had the final 2 goals in that win in Virginia last week. Lets it fly, and it's wide. Slusher, one of the final 26 players in consideration for the U.S. Under-19 national team. That roster in the next couple of months will get cut down to the final 23.
Sowers was in the crease on that last possession, but when they get that restart behind the cage, it's a great chance at kind of a free way to get 22 the ball.
Sowers to Vardaro. Dives underneath, a flag flies, so a free possession for Princeton. Smart play by Vardaro.
They're going to try and shut off Sowers as best they can, or at least make it hard for him to get open. Easier said than done, obviously.
Vardaro draws the slide, extra pass, Slusher to McCarthy. Roll dodge for the senior, gives it up to Brown. Pass back up top, deflected. Tigers with 10 to shoot, but a flag is down. Chris Brown, I don't think he realizes how much time is left on the shot clock. Into the middle, shot clock expires, but the penalty coming up against Hopkins.
It's going to be a slash up high. It's going to be 1 minute man up for the Tigers. They'll get their best 6 on the offensive side against Hopkins' best 5 on the defensive side.
Hunter Juronsky, the freshman from New Hope, Pennsylvania. One of the team's long stick midfielders as we get another look at it.
Juronsky came down on him with the stick, so get the slash call there, and Princeton will start moving it around in their 6-on-5 set. Brown behind the cage.
Princeton just 1 for 3 on the extra man pass. Out of the reach of McCarthy, and then a Tiger falls over the midfield line. Princeton wanted the push. Instead, it's offsides against the Tigers.
Yeah, it's got to be something there. It's either a push or offsides, and offsides was the right call.
So Hopkins man down here for the next 30 seconds. Let's see how they play it. Largest deficit of the afternoon at 4 goals, 10-6. Circling is Evan Zinn under the watchful eye of the all-conference Paul Andrew Song.
And similar to what Princeton just did, Hopkins will look to just wear off this penalty. 10 seconds to go before they will be released.
Penalty expires on Juronsky. Freshman Owen Murphy joining the fray, and now Hopkins will get into their offensive set with 30 seconds to shoot. Here's Connor DeSimone, leaves it off. Cole Williams held without a point in the first half. On the run, shot partially deflected by Anderson.
And a good trail check there by Baughan on the backhand of Williams as he was kind of reeling back for that shot.
Connor DeSimone above goal line extended. Shot comes in wide from Murphy.
It'll be Epstein on the reset. We'll see if he tries to dodge. Hasn't done too much dodging today. Again, 2 goals, still making him his presence felt on the field, of course.
Shot clock down to single digits. The sophomore Epstein against the freshman Finley with some help. Ball down to the turf, but a flag comes in late.
I thought they were going to call a push. The slash looked like it was on his hands or on the stick. We'll get a better look at it. The Princeton fans not happy with that call on the field.
That was the freshman Finley against the sophomore Big Ten Rookie of the Year from a year ago, Epstein.
So 60-second man-up opportunity for Hopkins. Princeton wore out the last one.
One-minute call against Ben Finley. It's the 5th Princeton penalty today. Pinching in, shot, may have gotten the pipe. Peters got a piece of it. Long Karen back out to the midfield. 40 seconds left on the Hopkins man advantage. DeSimone has him hung up. Pass through X. Counterclockwise back up top. Knife down by Bauer, the senior, playing mostly on man-down situations this year for the Tigers. 20 seconds left on the man up for the Blue Jays. Change of direction, back down below goal line extended, DeSimone. Working it through Degnan, one of their leading scorers. Here's a shot, up high and a goal. That's Schilling, the man-up specialist. Seeing his playing time cut down just a little bit this year, Luke Schilling pulls the Blue Jays back within 3.
You see Epstein with a beautiful feed inside, and then Schilling with a great finish considering the contact he took inside. A beautiful job of making the finish, making the goal regardless of the contact. And a beautiful look from 32 Epstein, again making his presence felt in a ton of ways regardless of kind of a nagging injury.
Season opener, interesting for Luke Schilling. His father, the volunteer assistant right down the road at Towson. Makes it a 3-goal game, first of the season for Schilling. 10-7 the score. Big face-off here. Sandoval against Prouty once again. Stevens had a crack at it. Sandoval upends the Blue Jay. Ball still loose in the Johns Hopkins end. Tigers had Robertson. They want the timeout. Jake Stevens escaping traffic. Ball finally picked up by Sowers. And the Tigers settle it down and don't have to burn a timeout, although I think they were trying to.
Madeline almost made it all the way down to the cage. He wanted a couple timeouts there, I think.
He can move a little bit. Under 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. Princeton is led by as many as 4. Hopkins had a 1-0 lead, but then the Tigers scored 4 in a row, and Hopkins has not been able to get the lead back.
Short stick matchup behind the cage for Michael Sowers.
After Hopkins was trying to take Sowers completely out of the equation earlier this quarter. Shakes his man out in front, pass is deflected.
30.
Hopkins has done a good job of getting sticks up in the passing lanes and making it a little bit tougher for Sowers.
They have. They've done a great job of that. About 25 seconds to go in the shot clock.
Sowers picked back up by McManus, the sophomore. Here's McCarthy, low to high, tries to bounce it.
There's those short skips and bounce that ball up into that upper
sure he got that out
again.
Cleanly. Tigers with 17 on the shot clock. Sowers carries it in against McManus. McManus, who last year as a freshman was a short stick midfielder. Above goal line extended, feed out in front. Slusher goes behind his back and scores. Maybe a glimpse into the future of the Princeton attack, but Sowers connecting with Slusher, and the lead's back up to 4. He didn't really have any other options there.
Relentless effort by Slusher and a beautiful feed. Nothing new from Michael Sowers, but look at this. Fights through it, shovels it behind the back. You're watching the Ivy League on ESPN.
At tax time, big wireless companies play games to lock you into a pricey contract. Don't play. Straight Talk now has the Samsung Galaxy A10e for just $99 on America's best networks for up to half the cost and no contract. Straight Talk Wireless.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I love Chick-fil-A nuggets because the flavor is unparalleled. As soon as you bite into them, you're in a happy place. The seasoning is perfect.
And Doug.
And now, for their service to the community, we present Limu Emu and Doug with this key to the city.
It's an honor to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. And now, we need to get back to work. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Michael Sowers setting up Alex Slusher, and Sowers 2 goals. That's his 6th assist. And Sowers now with 8 points, Dave, tying for 6th in Ivy League history with Mike French, 296 career points.
Seems like every game Michael Sowers plays, somebody falls in the record book. We'll be talking about this college career for a long time, Cody. He ceases to amaze, 8 points, evens what he did last week against Virginia. He's still got a quarter and a half to go in this one. And you look at the career points leaders for Ivy League men's lacrosse, household names up and down that list, as Sowers squeaks tied for 5th. Darren Lowe, Ben Reeves, Dylan Malloy, and Rob Pinnell. Look at the names he joins.
Michael Sowers at his current career pace, 6.4 points per game, and obviously he's above that today. But at that current pace, he would become the Ivy League's all-time leading scorer in the opening round of the Ivy League tournament, tying Mike French, a player at Cornell who's in the U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Fame, the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and the NLL Hall of Fame.
Again, not bad company. With what Michael Sowers has done, both from a school perspective and an NCAA perspective, the names that surround him in the history books are ones for the ages.
Jake Stevens wins the face-off, shot on the run, and he beats him. Jake Stevens mucking it up in the midfield, and the Tigers stretch their lead out to 5 here midway through the 3rd quarter.
Well, Cody, I wasn't expecting him to shoot that ball from there, and I don't know if Hopkins was either. Take a look. He gets tied up, but he still gets it off with a ton of pace, high to high, and a celebration to boot. Great job by Jake Stevens, 2nd goal today.
Jake Stevens, they like him on the face-off wing at the end of last year. The final 5 games, he was running with the top offensive midfield. Just a really versatile piece for the Tigers.
We talked about kind of the change in mentality for the Tigers, going from unranked to top 10, from sneaky underdog to heavy favorite, and they've handled it well. That's a big week of coaching, big week of practice when kind of the whole dynamic of your program changes so quickly.
Tyler Sandoval with another face-off win in his 4th ground ball. He's come up huge for the Tigers since the midway through point of the 2nd quarter.
Cody, just to finish my thought, everyone saw Princeton not in the top 25. I think everyone on this roster probably from day one of practice, which, oh, by the way, for the Ivy League is February 1st. I think they all knew how talented this team was, and still hasn't been a month yet with this extra day of February.
Talk about the short practice time, and then what Matt Madelon said really impressed him about the win last week in Charlottesville as McCarthy dodges downhill and scores another one for the Tigers. Timeout Johns Hopkins as the Princeton lead balloons to 6.
Princeton coming fast and furious here midway through the 3rd quarter. McCarthy, he's having a great game, and he continues. That's just textbook dodge. No pressure on his hands, and a beautiful shot. 8th goal of the year from McCarthy. And Princeton loading it on here.
To be right back there this year, and then before that, we'll know where he goes in the PLL draft. Figure he's a lock for one of the top 2 or 3 picks.
I think every LL He'll be a factor in their drafts.
Three straight goals by the Tigers. They've tallied 5 of the last 6 as the snow picks up just a bit. Tigers winning faceoffs here in the second half, and that's enabled them to balloon this lead to 13-7. Jake Stevens right in the middle of another faceoff win.
And how do you keep leads in lacrosse? Well, you win the subsequent faceoff, something that Hopkins was dominating in terms of the stat sheet, but a timely faceoff can be priceless in this game.
Jake Stevens, 2 goals on 2 shots and 4 ground balls. Connor McCarthy working on a big day. Waiting for the slide, comes late.
Sowers in the crease.
Slusher with some separation, back to McCarthy, quickly to Sowers. Sowers against McManus, working around a screen from McCarthy. Good job fighting through that by Caldwell, the senior on defense for the Blue Jays. Chris Brown has scored already today to extend that scoring streak to 31 straight. Here's Vardaro working on a hat trick. 10 seconds to shoot for Princeton. Pass by Sowers, airmailed. Shot clock would have expired, over and back, and the Tigers turn it over for the 7th time.
Yeah, and it's a quick restart.
Off the restart, low shot and a big save by Peters. Less than 10 seconds into the shot clock, but it trickles back in. Huge save by Peters, and then Hopkins in the right place to clean it up.
Owen Murphy, heads up play, puts his stick in the passing lane of Peters, and he bats it right back into the goal.
It's not something you see every day. Owen Murphy, the freshman, starting his first career game.
And unless the goalie's stick made contact with Murphy's stick, there will not be an interference call. So it's a nice save here, and then you're going to take a look. Peters throws it, and I don't believe there was contact between Peters and Murphy, and therefore no interference, and therefore a good goal.
Nice to be good. Sometimes it's better to be a little bit lucky. Just got the stick up in front of that clear attempt and knocked it right back down.
But you know what? He's lucky because he hustled.
Right spot.
And he made the effort. A lot of players wouldn't make that effort. He decided, I'm here, I'm putting my stick up in the passing lane, and it pays off.
Second goal of the day by Owen Murphy. And another face-off win by Tyler Sandoval, who's now won 8 of 14. Shot on the move, and they score. Luca Lazaretto, the sophomore pole. Hopkins trying to get a little bit of momentum, and the Tigers taking it right back.
Just when you thought a funky goal by Hopkins might change momentum, Luca Lazaretto from Illinois, he's used to this weather. Beautiful goal by the long stick.
First career goal for the sophomore. And Johns Hopkins will pull Ryan Darby. The junior's day is done. Jacob Jackalone, the senior. Lake Ronkonkoma, New York native, Sachem High School. Came in and spelled Darby early on in that first-round NCAA loss last year against Notre Dame. And Jackalone hasn't played a ton in his career, just 52 total minutes. And the bulk of that, 47 of those 52 minutes coming last year in the NCAA tournament. Jackalone, a top 100 recruit 4 years ago, now a senior. He was behind Brock Turnbaugh in the last 2 years, behind Ryan Darby, but he'll get a crack at it here.
Yeah, you can't see it on your screen, but he's stretching in the crease, trying to get warmed up. As the snow falls, he gets thrown into the action.
Peters and Darby rolling out in the sweatpants. Jackalone sporting the shorts. 14-8, a 6-goal lead for the Tigers. Under 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Turnaround shot, hits the pipe. Not sure Peters had a clean read on it. Ball carrying, and the Tigers scoop it up. Finley, the freshman, clearing it across midfield, and then it's knocked away from behind towards the sideline, back to Hopkins. Good defensive play by the sophomore midfielder, Garrett Degnan.
Yeah, Finley kind of held up. He stopped, and it actually helped Hopkins there. But you're going to see it switch sticks again, and it's going to be Sowers looking to quickly restart for the Tigers.
Six-goal lead matches the largest of the day for the Tigers. Michael Sowers taking his time as he's bodied up by McManus.
Coming up on 4 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Again, a 6-goal lead for the Tigers.
Michael Sowers, 7 points in the first half, has added an assist here in the second half. Chris Brown passes up a good look. McCarthy, with plenty of time to shoot, will curl it out. Princeton trying to find that matchup they like. Here's Slusher. Slusher on a short stick. Being lashed at, carries it back above goal line, extended, hits the crossbar. Vardara there to back it up on the far sideline.
A good step there. He rolls back, loses the defender. Definitely had the angle and a high percentage shot there.
That was against the sophomore short stick, Jake Lilly. Shot clock reset, snow picking up just a little bit. Up until this point, just a flurry since the middle of the second quarter. First early test for Jack Alone, and he passes it on that low shot by Sowers. Jack Alone, 6 foot, 195. Sowers gets it back, and another save. 2 point-blank saves by the big senior for the Blue Jays.
What a sequence for Jack Alone. He stands up to the job and does it very well. 2 shots against Sowers, 2 saves.
Game's had a little bit of everything.
It really has. The least of which has certainly not been the weather. Really inconsistent.
Sunny,
Flurries.
windy, flurrying. It's stopping now. Here's a shot from the top of the box. High carom. Almost works like a pass, and then it kicks out of bounds.
It was a shot.
DeSimone on the restart. Shot clock does not reset. DeSimone against the short stick midfielder English. Here's Epstein, sophomore captain, has the Tigers hung up.
He can be dangerous from here. Great vision. Peters takes a risk there.
Pass was a little bit tough to handle for Forey Smith, and that may have bailed Peters and the Tigers out. Here's Smith turning the corner, gets bodied up. Ball down on the turf, and that's George Bond.
Textbook defense, Cody. The slides there. Slide to collide, as they say, and it pays off for the Tigers as they look to clear and do so.
George Bond is a freshman, led the Ivy League in caused turnovers. Last year he was 3rd in the Ancient Eight, just a shade under 2 caused turnovers a game. Was an All-American last year.
Here's Brown. We haven't seen him sweep with that left hand yet above the goal. Used to be his go-to, kind of shot on the run with the left hand.
Second midfield line out there for the Tigers. Jamie Atkinson, number 25, cradling along the Princeton sideline. Tommy Barnes scored a goal earlier in this contest. That made it 2-1 Princeton, and they haven't given the lead back since. Chris Brown, skip pass over the top of the defense. Here's Sowers carrying center. Waiting for the slide to come. McManus watching Sowers, getting a screen from Atkinson. His shot deflected. Atkinson with a lot of open real estate. 15 to shoot for the Tigers. Right back to number 22. Sowers shoots, save Jock Alone. Shot clock was down under 5. What an outing by Jock Alone, coming in reserve of the starter Ryan Darby.
Done a tremendous job. That one, a low percentage shot from Sowers with the shot clock nearing 0.
Jock Alone's faced 3 shots here in the third quarter. He stopped them all, and then he turns the ball over, throws it right over the head of his intended target, Garrett Degnan.
And McCarthy will take it in for the Tigers.
15 seconds left in the third quarter. Tigers lead by 6. They haven't had a 7-goal lead yet today. Vardaro, bidding for his 4th, fires high.
If you're the Tigers, you certainly want to get a little bit more of a high percentage shot on Jack Alone while he's still cold, let's say. The 3 saves he's made, 1 was terrific, 2 rather routine.
Sowers at the buzzer, shot. In between a shot and a pass, scooped up by Giacalone as the third quarter comes to an end. Snow falling here in the Garden State, and the Princeton Tigers have expanded their largest lead of the day. 14-8 the score. We'll be back after this with the start of the fourth quarter on the Ivy League on ESPN.
Stevens on the wing, Song on the opposite side. Sandoval will take it for the Tigers.
Andrew Song with a beat on it on the near side, scoops it up. The Tigers have done a much better job here in the second half winning faceoffs. Tyler Sandoval 10 for 16 for the freshman. This is against a Hopkins team. They were among the national leaders in faceoffs, 60.5% coming in. And Hopkins, of course, playing that tough schedule. You have Towson and then 2 top 15 teams, so that number really impressive coming into the day.
Here's Slusher dodging from up top, and he'll look to move it to Sowers behind the cage. Make that Robertson behind the cage.
Philip Robertson quiet today. 2 shots, 0 points for number 11. Came into the day with 12 goals over 3 games. Connor McCarthy, the senior, has a couple today. Here's Chris Brown. Now Vardaro, 3 goals already. Shot on the move. He is wide and backed up by Slusher with Giacalone still out there between the pipes.
Vardaro's got the green light today, Cody, taking a ton of shots, and rightfully so. High percentage shots. He's aiming at the right places. That time going for the far pipe. Just misses, but he knew he had the backup. And here's Sowers.
Sowers shakes him over the top of the defense. McCarthy steps into it and makes it a 7-goal lead for Princeton. 4th goal of the day for Connor McCarthy, the senior.
Again, Cody, when that ball sails out of Sowers' stick across the field, you just feel like it might be another assist. And of course it is. Connor McCarthy on the receiving end. 9th goal of the year for McCarthy, who's having himself a day. And Sowers just continues to impress with his vision and ability to make plays and create scoring opportunities for his teammates. One of the most unselfish players you will ever see.
Connor McCarthy, the senior, never had more than 2 goals in a game up until today. He scored 4 goals all last season as he battled through some injuries. 4th time he's found the back of the net this afternoon, and the Princeton lead is 15-8.
As the snow stops and the sun comes out in Princeton.
Just trying to make life as tough as possible on our camera crew today. Just about 90 seconds gone by in the 4th quarter. Johns Hopkins with a much-needed face-off win. Eric Peters hasn't been heavily tasked here in the second half. He's allowed 8 goals overall and 10 saves. Peters was able to get the stick on that one and take it away and put an abrupt end to that Johns Hopkins possession.
Here's Bond handling the ball for the Tigers, passing it back to Peters. They'll look to clear again. 20 seconds to do so. They do so with plenty of time.
Peters, 17 saves in a win at Dartmouth last year. That's his career high. He was 1 shy of that last week. 16 saves in that 16-12 victory down at Virginia. Peters starting for the 4th time this season in the 13th straight game for the Tigers. It's kind of a question mark heading into last season. You had Tyler Blaisdell. He was essentially a 4-year starter. 47 straight starts before his graduation, 2-time All-Ivy League selection. Ball trickles out of bounds and the Tigers turn it over, and then it was John Levine winning that starting job last year. He struggled at Rutgers. They went to Peters, and he's held down that position ever since.
It's a tough position. You got to compete day in and day out. Attackman got 3 spots, midfielders 3 spots, defense 3 spots. Goalie, you got to be the best one on the team to make it onto the field, and Peters took over in that Rutgers game, hasn't looked back.
Forey Smith initiating from the midfield. Quick stick out in front to Epstein. That's knocked away from behind by, I believe, Medgalchi.
What a check
was
by
in the
Peters.
middle, and then Peters checks it away from behind and causes the turnover.
Been learning from George Bond in practice, clearly. Great check by Peters behind the cage. Does it with confidence. Does it with precision.
Peters a little more active today, maybe a little bit more confident.
Maybe just trying to stay warm.
Good day between the pipes for the senior, 15, should say the junior.
Watch your back there.
They can't hear you.
Good job by Hopkins, though, sneaking on, and no one from Princeton letting McCarthy know.
Right in front of the Tigers bench. Tigers trying to tack on to a 7-goal lead against the Johns Hopkins team that was in the national rankings up until this week. Dropped out of the media poll after that loss at home against North Carolina in the 1-2 start. And a whistle. Any idea?
Thought we were about to get a call. We had an official walk to the scorer's table. It'll be Robertson restarting it from behind for the Tigers.
Vardaro loses an edge, being lashed at. Tangled up with Lilly. Ball still loose.
It was really physical early in the game, Cody, and now it's rearing its head again. Brown comes out with it, but we're going to get a whistle. There's some laundry on the field.
You knew that at some point in that scrum they would get a flag. You just weren't sure at what point it would come out, and it was when Philip Robertson hit the deck. Now the officials stepping in and trying to clean this up. Tigers sideline fired up with a 15-8 advantage here and 10:44 to go.
You like to see some fire on the field, but you also like to see sportsmanship.
Eddie Glassmeyer, the freshman, called for the slash. So Princeton will go man up for the 5th time today. Tigers just 1 of 4 with the extra man.
Again, Cody, one of the oldest rivalries in college lacrosse. Two very good teams going at it. It's going to be physical.
Kuzniak out there on the man up. McCarthy top shelf for his 5th. Tigers score early on an extra man opportunity, and they are doubling up Johns Hopkins at home 16-8.
Take one more look. Brown just takes what the defense gives him. 2 more passes, and the hot hand McCarthy high to high. Unbelievable. McCarthy, the game of his career, 5th goal of the day. And you know that win over Virginia, they catapult into the top 10 in the polls. A lot of folks are saying, is that too big of a jump? Well, they're validating it here at home against a very good Johns Hopkins Blue Jays team.
You have Sowers, you know what he can do, you know what Brown can do and Robertson can do. How big is it for this Princeton team to have a guy like McCarthy that can spread the field and stretch the defense a little bit?
Well, you just ask any coach that's facing the Tigers. The scouting report just gets longer every week because someone else has a career day. You can't cover everyone. You got to pick your poison. You know you got to keep an eye on Sowers and Brown coming into the season, and now it's just everybody else. Vardaro having a day, Slusher making an immediate impact as a freshman. The list goes on and on.
Prouty was dominant in the first half on the face-off X. He struggled against Sandoval here in the second half, so Hopkins rolling out Matt Naruski, the sophomore, who had a good day last year, 10 of 15 against the Tigers. And the violation against Sandoval gives possession to the Blue Jays.
And you reel off all those names, then you forget about Jake Stevens, who's had a huge game today.
Hopkins down by 8, largest lead of the day for the Princeton Tigers. It was, of course, a 2-goal Hopkins victory last year, but the 3 meetings before that decided by an average of about 8 goals, kind of some lopsided contests, and today turning into one of those with 9.5 minutes to go.
And we get a look at Joey Epstein here, just not the Joey Epstein we saw a year ago. Clearly was not getting a ton on his shots, as you saw there, not really dodging with the vigor that we're used to seeing. He's frustrated out there, you can tell.
11 saves for Peters. He's in double digits. Quick save at the other end, and here comes Hopkins in transition. Head of steam down the other way. Matt Hubler is going to pass it off, and now they'll settle in with Cole Williams. He was our player to watch pregame. Williams 0 for 4 shooting, still looking for his first point.
Sowers made his way to the defensive side of the ball.
Lazaretto in the middle of there. The Tigers have it with Finley, and then he has it lashed away from behind by Epstein.
Great hustle by Cole Williams there. Hasn't had a huge day, has Williams. He was our player to watch in the pregame.
Said that was Epstein. That was Owen Murphy, the freshman on attack, getting it back for the Blue Jays.
Going to get a shot clock reset here, and Epstein will start it off. Hopkins will restart again in the alley. Here's Baskin.
Baskin draws the slide on the doorstep, sticked aside by Peters as they were trying to set up Owen Murphy with a good look.
And again, this is where Epstein can be so dangerous when he's 100%, is behind the cage on the restarts, similar to Sowers. Both of those players, when 100%, are two of the toughest matchups in the nation. Here's Williams. Bond has done a great job against Williams today. Look at this matchup.
Williams against Bond, power against power, checked away from behind by the Tigers.
He just perfect position defense by George Bond. He watched enough tape to know when Cole brings that stick back, sometimes he hangs it. He did there. Bond took advantage.
If the Tigers can put a lid on this one, a chance to potentially move up in the rankings because top-ranked Yale has fallen in Amherst 13-10 to UMass.
That's a shocker, an absolute shocker.
After Yale, third-ranked team in the country last year, they head out to Happy Valley and take down last week's #1 team, Penn State. Not sure how much you can take out of February lacrosse, but it's certainly been fun to watch. Princeton looking
Yale,
for its first 4-0 start since 2010.
And Cody, to beat Yale, you've got to win faceoffs. It's so tough, and UMass able to do it today.
Princeton leads by 8. Slusher shakes his man across the front of the crease, and Jackalone takes it right away. Friendly Karen back to Sowers.
Jackalone playing such great lacrosse in goal, just using his instincts. What a shot by Vardaro!
Right place at the right time, and a tremendous individual effort for the sophomore to extend the Princeton lead up to 9. Doesn't get easier from here. Rutgers, a team that was ranked to start the season at home, and then Penn for the Ivy League opener on the road to Yale. And then Brown comes in after that.
What a schedule upcoming for the Tigers. And I had just said you have to win faceoffs to beat Yale. Well, I take that back. T.D. Erlin wins 20 of 26 faceoffs for Yale today, and UMass still pulls the 13-10 upset. So UMass wins in spite of faceoffs. And folks, you're going to want to watch that tape because that is not easy to do.
25 turnovers for the Bulldogs.
And that will negate the faceoff domination.
It was an 8-6 Princeton lead, and all of a sudden it's 17-8. 9-2 run for the Tigers.
And Jackalone's come in and played very well for the Blue Jays in net.
Naruski, the sophomore, out there to take the face-off, wins it cleanly, and he'll turn it in down to our left as Hopkins tries to chip away late.
Another one by Bond.
George Bond on the trail check off the face-off win.
It's just what he did to Williams, and he does it again. It's terrifying when you have a dominant defender waving his stick over your head. You don't know where he's going to come down. Behind your head, in front of it. Tremendous, tremendous player.
Already 2 caused turnovers today for number 17 for the orange and black. Timeout taken by Hopkins. 17-8 the score. First of a 3-game homestand for the Tigers. They play 5 of their first 6 games at home. Hung 20 on Monmouth 3 days later. Scored 20 against Colgate, went down and won at Virginia, and now have a 17-8 lead as we take a look at what's coming up next for Johns Hopkins. They'll take on Syracuse next weekend. 2 sort of long-standing rivalries that in recent years have followed each other, Princeton and then Syracuse. Then a little bit of a lull in the schedule before you get into the teeth of Big Ten play for Johns Hopkins. You saw what they have coming up, but later on in the season, sort of a juggernaut of a schedule after that St. Mary's, Navy, Delaware, Michigan stretch. They go Rutgers, Penn State, Ohio State, and Maryland to finish the season.
Yeah, so you think, anyone's game next week against Syracuse, then you think they can win those the next 4, and then the Big Ten. It's going to be a long way till then. We'll see where those teams stand, but we know Penn State, one of the most talented teams in the country. They'll most likely move up to number 1. Haven't seen how they're doing currently.
Penn State a 2-goal lead on Penn with 2 minutes to go at Franklin Field.
Well, there you go. Cody on the spot knows all the scores, so that's a great game.
Flag flies. It's going to be against Pedersen, probably a slash. Free possession here for the Blue Jays, trying to chip away, trailing 17-8. DeSimone. Williams, here's a shot. Kick save. That came out of the stick of Evan Zinn, who got the scoring started in a friendly carom and still a free possession. Flag came in about 40 seconds ago, and it's still down on the field. DeSimone takes some contact, coughs the ball up. Hopkins is going to retain it in the midfield. Williams looking for his first point. Shot kicked aside by Peters. Karem's out of play, and now we'll see what the call is.
We'll get the call. Great save by Peters. He was there before the shot even got off. Almost like he just had to guess from there, and he guessed right. It's like we're going to get a hold, a 30-second penalty on the Tigers. We'll take a look here. There you go. That is a textbook hold right in front of the official. Keep an eye on Epstein. It's on the near side of your screen, being covered by a short stick. He's got Luke Anderson on him, but right now not looking like he's even trying to get open. Going to kind of accept being shut off.
Schilling, the man-up specialist, at his first career goal. Last time Hopkins went man-up, and they bury one there on the feed out in front of Forey Smith. Blue Jays get one back, and it's a 17-9 contest. They've done a nice job with the extra man here today, 4 of 5.
They're just nice tic-tac-toe passing. Forey Smith, a short-handed player inside, finishes past Peters. 6th goal of the year for the captain, Forey Smith.
Just the first of the day for a player who came into this one with 7 multi-point games in a row dating back to last season. 17-9 the score, 4.5 minutes to go. Day for Alexander Vardaro, 4 goals. That's a career high for the sophomore. 5 goals for Connor McCarthy. 2 guys that have maybe flown under the radar, but no more for this Princeton team. 9 points for Michael Sowers. He's been in double digits twice this season, had 8 last week, 9 today. 42 points over the first 4 games for number 22.
That's a really good season for a lot of players. This is Sowers' 4th game of the year.
I think that would be the single season record at a couple of the upstart programs.
I think you're right, Cody.
17-9 Princeton. Starters still out there for the Tigers. Chris Brown extending that goal scoring streak to 31 with his first half goal. Shooting just 1 of 7 today, the big southpaw. Here's Sowers, a step on his man, sets up Slusher, contact from behind, 3 flags fly. And then some more high contact as the ball is loose. Tigers lashing at it, it rolls towards the sideline.
It gets physical, yep.
And now we'll get the call. The Tigers will go man up with just over 3 minutes to go. Tough game to officiate today, especially in front of the benches.
Yeah, it really is. Such a physical game.
How about this crowd in the Princeton student section today? We had an Eric Peters chant a couple minutes ago.
At least they showed up dressed properly. A lot of winter hats. I see some blankets. So no one's trying to be a hero out there.
Pushes the call, 30 seconds against Jared Reinson, the junior.
Yeah, it's a straightforward push with possession call. For a second, I thought it might get a little more chippy out there with the pushing and shoving, but nice to see it didn't. Princeton will be man up here for 30 seconds.
Reinson, the local product out of Montgomery High School, about 7 miles north of here. Tigers have struggled on the man up, just 2 of 5 so far today. If there's anything at all negative you can say, maybe it's that. Kuznarek back to Sowers at the top. On the doorstep, Slusher never saw it. It was deflected, so Princeton will keep it with 1 second left on the man up.
Well, similar to the player that worked 22 before him, Tom Schreiber, Michael Sowers knows when you're open when you don't know you're open. And that's just another example of his vision. Doesn't help when he goes no look on you.
Back to 6 on 6. Sowers biding his time under the watchful eye of Owen McManus, who's pretty much been the player they've chosen to defend him. McManus, the sophomore. First-year starter. Here's Sowers giving it up to Slusher. Back to Sowers, and now they have the matchup they want. Flag comes in, so an extended possession coming up for the Tigers if they can't score here.
Yep, so laundry on the field, 15 on the shot clock. So a free possession here for Sowers and company as 22 handles behind the net.
Sowers starting the dodge. Feed out in front, low pass. Robertson fires it wide. Philip Robertson, just his 3rd shot, still looking for his first point.
2 seconds on the shot clock.
Seen that connection work,
but that's
quite
going
a
to be
bit.
reset. We're going to get the call. So interference, 30 seconds. A new 80-second shot clock for Princeton.
80 seconds on the shot clock, 1:53 on the game clock here at Sherrod Field.
Slusher starts it for Princeton and gets it to Sowers. Sowers again, 8 points last week in the upset victory in Charlottesville against the Cavaliers of Virginia. 9 points today.
Connor McCarthy bidding for goal number 6. Initially saved, but Chris Brown there for the putback. 18-9, the Tigers once again doubling up the Blue Jays.
Again, right place, right time. This time it's Chris Brown. Great shot there, a great save by Jack Alone, and then it's bobbled up off the butt of the stick of Jack Line.
Did Jack Line try to grab that with his bare hands?
I don't think so. I think he was trying to react, and I think he hit it with the butt of his stick. And then Brown caught that pass and buried it.
7th man-up goal today, 4 for the Blue Jays. That's the 3rd for the Tigers. 2nd goal of the day for Chris Brown. Michael Sowers and the starters on attack, getting some hugs on the near sideline. So 22's day is done. 2 goals, 7 assists. Stick save by Peters on the shot, ringing high corner by Epstein. Cole Williams scoops it up. Williams has been quiet, 0 for 5 shooting without a point today. Trying to get on the board, turns the corner, bounces it wide with Epstein there to back it up. 1:16 to go, Jinx.
And here is Epstein restarting behind the cage. Again, he's just not 100%, folks. Good to see him get up from that.
Looked stronger in the first half than he has in the second half, and you wonder if that's just not getting those practice reps early in the season because he's been banged up.
And again, we're not doctors, but I can't imagine that playing in the mid-20 degrees helps either.
Baskin works it up to the restraining line. Shot on the doorstep and a beautiful goal by the Blue Jays from Owen Murphy, the freshman. Barely had it in his stick, and he makes it an 18-10 contest.
A couple today for Murphy. Take another look at it. One-handed follow-through. 4th goal of the year.
First career hat trick for the freshman out of Avon Old Farms after a couple of years at Medfield High School in his hometown in Massachusetts. Goes from being a winged beaver to a Blue Jay.
That's quite the transition. Winged beaver. Love to see those jerseys.
The logo is exactly what you think it is.
I don't know what I think it is.
Look it up. Tigers turn it over. 30 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Quick feed out in front. Shot and a goal. 2 quick strikes here late by the Blue Jays. That's Evan Zinn with his 2nd of the day.
Nice shot by Evan Zinn. Good execution from the Blue Jays. Wow, tremendous effort there inside to get the ball out to Zinn. 2nd goal of the day for the midfielder.
Zinn had the 1st goal of the day and has what could very well be the last goal of the day, and it's tough to put either of those last 2 on Eric Peters.
Looks like we're going to have Schrappa out there taking the face-off for the Tigers.
First chance of the day for Schrappa, senior from Bronxville, New York. Seen the entirety of his action this season in that season-opening win at home a couple weeks ago against Monmouth. Schrappa against Naruski, and the sophomore for the Blue Jays wins it with 15 seconds to go in the contest. Naruski with a bouncer bidding for a tally, and he fires it wide. Already has 1 goal here today, or this season, I should say. Here's a shot on the run, kicked aside by Peters. 3 seconds left to play.
Another good save by Peters, though. Great reaction.
Williams on the restart. He is going to swing it in. Comes out the other side. This one goes final, and it's the Princeton Tigers. Downing Johns Hopkins by a count of 18-11. The Tigers jumped into the top 10 in the rankings this week. They are 4-0 to start the season for the first time since 2010.
What a difference 10 days makes. Start the season against Monmouth and Colgate with dominant victories, with Sowers going for 11 and 14 points respectively in those 2 contests. And then the heat got turned up. The Tigers go down to Charlottesville a week ago.